Alright, what's up guys? Today we're talking about why I believe the Sony FX30 is still one of the best cameras for content creators in 2026. Let's talk about it. Alright, so I know what you're saying, this camera is indeed a couple of years old, but it really doesn't matter because we all know over the last few years the camera tech has just plateaued. Almost every camera that you can get right now that has been made within the last 5 years, if you can't create something dope, something 4K, something high quality, something professional with that camera, the issue is not the camera, the issue is indeed you. But with that being said, there are still certain features that if you really want to take it to the next level, there are some cameras that will have certain features and definitely some cameras that will not have those features. And when it comes to the Sony FX30, the little brother of the Sony FX3, one of the most legendary cameras in content creation and or even professional videography history, this thing pretty much matches up evenly with the FX3 minus one or two small details. I mean, obviously it shoots in 4K, but you're shooting in 4K at 24 frames per second, at 30 frames per second, at 60 frames per second. And you can even on this small little beast shoot in 4K 120 frames per second, albeit with a crop, but still you get all of those frame rates in such a beautiful small package. Now 4K, not only is it high quality and good looking 4K, it's actually down sampled from 6K. So this camera, even though it's small, even though it's an APS-C, even though it's a crop sensor, you can still crop in on your 4K video and keep high quality images. You can still use technology like clear image zoom and still get very high quality images as it goes from a 6K to a 4K. But hey, people are going to be watching this on YouTube with all of the compression. People are going to be watching this on tiny phones. So the ability to get a zoom lens, use clear image zoom, and still get high quality is unmatched. I mean, this camera can even take photos. Obviously, it's a dedicated video camera. It's even in Sony's cinema line of cameras. It has a 26 megapixel sensor, allowing you to take high quality photos. Now, sure, maybe you're not going to do any portrait shoots or something with this. You definitely can, but if you're a content creator, you're gonna take some photos, you're gonna shoot things that are gonna be used for thumbnails, you're gonna shoot things that are gonna be used for pretty much your cover on reels or shorts or whatever it may be. So the need to shoot pictures is still gonna be there. And knowing that you have a dedicated cinema cam that can still take pictures at 26 megapixels, that's amazing. Then even to some sort of a smaller degree, because if you are a content creator, maybe you're not shooting a feature film, so some of these features you're not gonna need, but this thing has some professional features like shutter angle, like DCI 4K. Even things as simple as the big 6 menu that you would see in other cinema cameras is amazing to have in a content creator's camera. So if you're going out, you just have this one camera, whether you're shooting a vlog, whether you're shooting a music video, or whether you're shooting a short film, you know everything that you need for a professional outcome you have built into a tiny package. When you have something this small, you get the confidence to just bring it with you no matter where you're going, no matter what the day is. So that's another reason that it's great for content creators, because if you have a full frame camera, full frame lenses are going to be a lot bigger, obviously a lot more expensive, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but their lenses are going to be a lot bigger, so the opportunity to bring that camera every single where you go is not eliminated, but you're going to do that a lot less. This FX30, when you don't have a big huge rig set up on there and it's just the body, is such a small footprint. Take a look at this. All right, camera nerds, don't freak out. I know the sensor is exposed, but I am trying to show you the small footprint of the Sony FX30. I mean, look how small this thing is. All right, the third reason is because this thing is almost designed for content creators. From the button layout to the point where you have all your 1/4-inch holes and screw-ins to the tally lights that you have on there, everything is set up for a content creator to be able to go out by themselves, a solo content creator, and get everything you need. So here's some examples. So we've got mounting points like this here on all sides of this body. So it allows me to both shoot vertical on a tripod and shoot horizontal without the need of adding a cage. So if your goal is to keep the thing very small and light, you don't have to rig this thing up to be able to still get the professional quality content that you're looking for, because it pretty much is a rig built into itself. Another thing are these tally lights right here. If you're out shooting by yourself and you see things like this tally light, you may not understand how important that is, but how many times How many times, creators, because I know you've all done this, you've been out shooting and you just forgot to hit record. You don't tell the person that you're interacting with that you forgot to hit record, but you legitimately forgot to hit record. And you tell that person, we've got to do it all over. Or maybe even you just lie and say, hey, I want to get that from a different angle. That's the professional way of lying about, I never hit record. But when you know you have a camera that has tally lights, you are always going to be looking for that light. It's going to be instinctual. Am I filming? I'm just looking for red. Once you see that red, you are confident. I know that I'm filming. So those tally lights are amazing when it comes to being a solo content creator and you're out shooting by yourself. And last but not least, as far as the design being great for solo content creators, is the locations of these record buttons. All right, so this record button right here, right in the front, that is one of my favorite features of the FX30, because if I'm out, I'm vlogging and I'm a content creator and I'm holding this like this, not only can I see those tally lights, but I could easily stop and start my recording. You're out filming by yourself. Such a small feature plays a major role in the confidence that you have to get the content that you need. Another thing about the design that makes it great for solo content creators is the fan. Now sure, I know the FX3 has a fan, but when it comes to other cameras that traditionally you're gonna be shooting vlogs with, you're not gonna have something as reliable as the active cooling system that the FX30 has. If you're like me and you're using this camera as a B cam, I wanna be able to go out, shoot with my A cam, hit record on my B cam and know that it's getting great BTS, great behind the scenes. But when I'm doing that, sometimes I just forget this thing is over there recording. I do not need to go back and see that the thing overheated and stopped 10 minutes ago, and all of this dope content that I'm out getting, I just simply didn't get because the device overheated. So there are cameras that are a little bit better, but just simply for the fact that it's so reliable with that fan and that active cooling system, for me, that instantly trumps those other cameras. Reason number 4, if you know how to 1, use the camera, but 2, if you get the right lenses for the camera, the image can mimic the look of a full frame. Usually when it comes to the look of a full frame, we're speaking of that shallow depth of field. You get a prime, a 35 1.4 like I'm shooting with right now on a full frame, you get that blurry background and you get the pop, you get that subject isolation and you're sticking out. Most people believe you can only get that with a full frame sensor. Now that's wrong. If you're using a Sony FX30, it has a crop sensor, so its issues are going to be, can I get that shallow depth of field, and also will this thrive in low light? I'm here to tell you, if you pick the right lenses with the Sony FX30, neither one of those issues are an issue whatsoever. Main lens that I use on my FX30 is a 16mm Sigma. This lens is years old, but it's just super reliable. The image quality is exactly what I need, and it goes down to a 1.4 aperture. That 1.4 aperture on a crop sensor pretty much is mimicking maybe 2.0, maybe 2.2, but one way or another, it just really allows me to get that blurry background, that depth of field that I'm looking for, that shallow depth of field that a full frame camera creates, but it also allows me to confidently still shoot in low light. I just came from a gig the other night, a Valentine's Day gig that I was shooting for a client, and it was in a very dimly lit environment. And I was shooting that gig with my Sony FX30. I had my Sigma 16mm 1.4 for the majority of it. And if you take a look at some of these clips on the screen, you can see, even in that dimly lit environment, that Sony FX30, that Sigma 16mm 1.4 really held up. Sometimes I need something a little bit tighter for B-roll. Sometimes I may even need something that allows me to see in the dark a little bit better than a 1.4 can provide. And that's why I do recommend, if you do have a crop sensor camera, to have at least one lens that you can rely on that is a 1.2. For me, I use this, which is a VILTROX Pro Level 27mm 1.2 aperture lens dedicated exclusively for crop sensor cameras. Now, 27mm is about the equivalent of 40mm, but more importantly, this beautiful thing goes down to 1.2. So if I'm in an extreme low light situation, I feel confident that I can bring this out and get even more light than a 1.4 can bring in. A 1.2, when it comes to a crop sensor lens, is about the equivalent of a full frame 1.8. If you can't do what you need to do in any environment with a 1.8, then like I said, the issue is not the camera, it's not the lens, it is indeed you. And last, but certainly not least, is the variety of lenses that you can use with an FX30. Now, like I said, I do own a Sony A7 IV, a full frame camera. So I like to be able to change out lenses from both a full frame that I can also use on my APS-C. So any full frame that's an E-mount lens, you can automatically attach to this. And more importantly, the lenses that are dedicated exclusively for APS-C, the cost of those lenses is dramatically different than the cost of a lens when it comes to full frame. For instance, a 35mm 1.4 is about $1,300 when it comes to a full frame camera. This 27mm 1.2 that I'm using cost me $548 to get you almost the exact same image. And when it comes to putting these things on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever it is that you use, none of those people are going to know the difference. So the fact that you're able to get this content at a fraction of the cost, the fact that you're able to make professional quality films on top of the fact that I could still use this for content creation means the Sony FX30, whether you're using it as a very small compact build or whether you decide to rig it up and build it up into a professional cinema beast, in 2026, Sony FX30 is still the very best content creation camera that you can get. It covers all the bases, it checks all the marks. My name is Michael Perryman, I'm a content creator out of Atlanta, and like I always say, don't wait, create.